It's Friday, November 2. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says 90% of Jamaica's outstanding debt to the Export-Import Bank of China will be repaid in 10 years. Dr. Clark said that 99% of the loans secured from China on behalf of Jamaica are at fixed interest rates of 2% and 3%, which are among the lowest interest rates in our entire loan portfolio. He was speaking at Latin Finance's third Caribbean Finance and Investment Forum held at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in New Kingston yesterday. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, the day before, noted that the loans secured on behalf of Jamaica are done at the best interest rates and that there is no need to fear Jamaica's relationship with China.
I don't think that there needs to be any fear-mongering. The government of Jamaica has been very strategic, and the sovereignty of Jamaica is always foremost in my mind. So when we engage with that as a non-negotiable part of the partnership.
Meanwhile, Dr. Clark assured the group of regional bankers and potential investors at Latin Finance's forum that, quote, there is no better place to invest than in Jamaica, end quote. Latin Finance is the leading source of intelligence on the financial markets and economies of Latin America and the Caribbean. The clearing of cargo at the Kingston Container Terminal is still facing major challenges. The Port Trailer Haulage Association issued a news release Thursday afternoon advising the commercial trade to expect delays in receiving shipments from the container terminal as its members continue to experience lengthy delays. According to the association, it is now taking truckers up to 3 hours to complete one container transaction. Ricardo Valentine, president of the association, told RGR News that the problems include shortages of terminal equipment in the domestic area of operations, delays in the transfer of containers from Gordon Key to the domestic delivery area, the recurring breakdown of the scanning machine, congestion in the loading yard. Valentine says his association has met with the Kingston Container Terminal to again outline the challenges, but the situation has not improved. Jamaica's coffee industry earns excess of $25 million per year, or it used to. The industry employs over 15,000 Jamaicans whose livelihood are now hanging in balance as the sector is in crisis. CEO of Mavis Bank Coffee Farms and chairman of the Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association, Norman Grant, is warning of hard times. Norman Grant says the coffee industry's major challenge is due to the falling in prices in Japan market, Jamaica's largest consumers. In an interview with the PBCJ, he explained the current prices are too low to make a substantial profit. Consequently, they're looking to expand production and markets.
Right now, 70% of our export goes into the Japanese market, 20% into the USA market, and 10% into Europe and the rest of the world. 25 years ago, 99% of Jamaica's export were going into the Japanese market.
The focus on Japan relates to the decades-old trade relations that the Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association is determined to keep. That is the thought behind the upcoming celebration of the Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee Day in Japan on January 9, 2019.
This has been legislated by the Japanese government. So like how we celebrate Heroes Day in Jamaica, it's going to be a big event which symbolizes the largest shipment leaving Jamaica 51 years ago. And we're looking to use that as a launching pad to refresh the brand, to engage the younger generations.
In addition to maintaining and expanding markets, there are also calls for tax to be imposed on imported coffee, but the association has proposed a mutual compromise.
And what they tell us, it has to be around about $4 or $5 per cup. and the green beans required cannot exceed a price of about $2 per pound as input cost. You cannot pay the Jamaican farmers $2 per pound. And what has to happen is that we import low-price coffee, we blend it with Jamaican coffee or Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, and based on the law, it now has to contain at least 30%. And this is something that we, the traders, and we, the exporters, supports.
By using cash to pay for goods and services, Jamaicans are hindering the economy's potential to grow. That's according to leading global payments and technology company MasterCard. In a study, MasterCard says it shows that almost 80% of all transactions conducted in Jamaica are done using cash. According to the data, the use of cash shows slowing of the country's economic growth by stimulating informality, increasing corruption, and limiting financial inclusion. MasterCard says the country's economy can grow by 0.7% if Jamaicans increased electronic payments by 30% in a 4-year period. Even though Jamaica fares better than Trinidad and Tobago, where almost 90% of transactions are conducted using cash, Vice President of Marketing and Communications for the Caribbean at MasterCard, Luis Araujo, says financial education could steer Jamaica on the right path to increased growth. He argued that with the digitization of transactions, cash payments will eventually become obsolete, and the sooner countries latch on to this concept, the better. The US dollar ended trading yesterday at Jamaican $128.12, down by 46 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $97.58, down from $97.78, while the British pound ended trading at $164.34, up from $163.35. In regional news, a few days after the House of Representatives in Jamaica approved a resolution calling for the lifting of the economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed on Cuba by the United States, other CARICOM countries have taken a similar stance. CARICOM countries on Thursday joined the majority of the international community in calling for the United States to end its decades-old trade and economic embargo against Cuba. The United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution piloted by Cuba calling for an end to the embargo that Washington imposed on the communist country 4 years after Fidel Castro overthrew the Fulgencio Batista regime in 1958. The General Assembly, by an overwhelming majority, rejected moves by Washington to criticize Cuba's human rights record, making it the 27th time that the 193-nation Assembly has issued a call to lift the embargo. Last year, the resolution calling for an end to the embargo was adopted by a vote of 191 to 2. Pan American Health Organization and World Health Organization representative to Jamaica, Bermuda, and the Cayman Islands, Dr. Bernadette Theodore Gandhi, says statistics from the United Nations Program on HIV and AIDS, UNAIDS, shows that the Caribbean region has seen an 18% reduction in new infections of HIV. She says there has also been a 23% reduction in the number of AIDS-related deaths this year. The Caribbean region now leads the world in the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis. She was speaking at the regional meeting on ending AIDS in the Caribbean at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in New Kingston yesterday. In sports, Jamaican boxing pioneer Bonnie Grant is dead. Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport Olivia Grange expressed condolences yesterday afternoon at the passing of Mr. Grant, noting that long before Lennox Lewis, before Mike McCallum, before Shrimpy Clark, there was Bonnie Grant. Born George Leslie Grant on September 29, 1940, he fought as a featherweight, superweight, light welterweight, welterweight, and light middleweight boxer during the 1950s, 60s, and 1970. Ms. Grange is quoted as saying, "We'll forever remember his victory over Dave Charnley, the Commonwealth lightweight champion at the National Stadium on August 4, 1962, just 2 days before Jamaica's Independence Day." Minister Grange also said, quote, "We all followed and celebrated with him throughout his 19-year career. Each of his victories was a victory for the Jamaican people. We have lost a great champion." End quote. Sprint king Usain Bolt's attempt to become a professional footballer with Australia's Central Coast Mariners collapsed Friday as his trial period was terminated after contract talks failed. The 8-time Olympic champion had been trying out with the A-League side since arriving in August, hoping to fulfill a childhood dream to become a soccer player. The 32-year-old's quest garnered worldwide attention, which intensified when he scored 2 goals in his pre-season friendly. But his abilities have been questioned, and the club reportedly offered him only a fraction of the Australian $3 million, that's just about 2.1 million US dollars, his management were said to be seeking, with outside sponsors needed to make the deal viable. And that's the news. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Pleasant viewing.